Imagine living in a world where a set of rules carved in stone could decide your whole life. Who you could marry, what happens if someone lied about you, even what happens if you got blamed for something you didn't do. Today, we're traveling back almost 4,000 years to ancient Babylon, where rules screamed horror for women. Get ready, because this is not your modern era, where independence meets you at every turn. This is an era far more than what you call cruelty and control. First, who was Hammurabi? Yes, Hammurabi was a powerful king who ruled Babylon a long time ago. He wanted order. He wanted people to know the price for a crime. But inside these rules, many were not fair to women. They showed a world where men had more power, and women often had to obey. If a woman was blamed, the punishment could be very hard. Let's explore how that looked in real life. Let's start with marriage. In Hammurabi's time, marriage was not just about love. It was also about money, family deals, and property. Families often arranged matches. A bride could bring a dowry, money, or goods from her family. Men controlled most of life outside the home. A husband could make big choices. He controlled the house, the fields, and many laws favored him. One of the hardest laws dealt with blame. What if a woman was accused of cheating? Even if there was no clear proof, the law had a scary test called the river ordeal. The woman could be thrown into a river. If the river saved her, which means if she survived by chance, she was seen as innocent. If she sank and died, people said the river had judged her guilty. Think about that. Instead of careful proof, a woman's life could depend on cold water and chance. That is not fair or kind. It puts women's lives at risk just because someone pointed a finger. Now think about what would happen if a married woman was caught with another man. The law could punish both very harshly. In some cases, they could be tied and thrown into the river. There were ways out if the husband or the king forgave them. But notice how power worked here. A woman's fate could depend on what the men in power decided: forgiveness or death. Both could hang over her head. That is a lot of fear to live with. Divorce also showed this unequal world. If a husband wanted to leave his wife, the law gave him paths to do it. Sometimes he had to give back her dowry or pay support, especially if they had children. That sounds fair, but the law also allowed a husband to call his wife wasteful or disobedient, and then send her away with little. If she was judged at fault, the punishment could be severe, even deadly. And if a wife tried to leave a cruel husband, she had to prove he had failed her by neglect or harm. If she could not prove it, she could be punished. In short, a man had more power to leave, and a woman had to jump through more hoops. Let's talk about children and families. What if a wife could not have children? In that world, having sons mattered a lot for passing on land and name. Some laws allowed a husband to take a second woman or a servant to have children. The first wife might still be in the house, but her power could shrink. The new woman could be treated as lower, but her children could still change the family's future. The first wife might be forced to accept this. It shows a world where a woman's body and her ability to have children could decide her place. It was a system that ranked women and moved them like pieces on a board. There were also laws about lying and insults. If someone lied about a priestess or a married woman, the liar could be punished. On the surface, it sounds like protection for women, but look closer. The law cared a lot about the man's honor, the husband's or the father's. If a woman was harmed, the law often saw it as harm to the man who owned her. Her body and name were tied to a man's status. So yes, there were rules that punished people who lied about women, but many times, the reason was less about the woman's own dignity and more about the man's good name. Another hard part was punishment for violence. If a man hurt a pregnant woman and she lost the baby, he had to pay a fine. But if the woman died, the law could demand something shocking: the death of the attacker's daughter. This was called an eye for an eye, but across families. It meant a girl could be killed for something she did not do, just because her father did wrong. That shows how the law treated daughters as stand-ins. like property traded for harm. It did not treat girls as full people with their own rights. It treated them as tokens in a cruel balance. Let's not forget about work and money. Some women ran businesses like taverns. The law watched taverns closely. If a tavern owner broke rules, like not reporting troublemakers, she could face death. Rules about money, debts, and who owed what also hit women hard. If a family owed money, a man could even send his wife or kids into debt bondage for years. Think about that. A woman could be forced to work off a debt she did not make. Her life could be paused or broken because someone else in her family lost money. That's not just unfair, it's dangerous. So, how did it feel to be a woman under these laws? Imagine waking up each day knowing your safety could rest on your husband's word, a judge's mood, or a cold river. Imagine caring for children, cooking, spinning, and keeping the home in order, all while a single rumor could ruin your life. Imagine losing rights when a second woman entered your house. Imagine being brave anyway. Many women were. They learned the rules. They kept records of dowries. They leaned on their families. They made friends. They found ways to protect their children. In small, quiet ways, they held their lives together. But does that really matter today? Well, yes, because laws shape lives. When laws are fair, people can grow and dream. When laws are unfair, people live smaller, quieter, and more afraid. Studying the Code of Hammurabi shows us how old ideas about power and gender can stick around if we don't question them. It shows us why we must read, think, and speak up. It reminds us that women's rights are not a gift. They are something people have had to fight for, over and over, across time. It also helps us see progress. Today, many countries say women and men should be equal under the law. Trials should use proof, not rivers. People should not be punished for the crimes of their parents. A person should not lose freedom over a family debt. These ideas are better. They are more human. But we must stay alert. Not every law today is perfect. Not every system is fair. When we learn about the past, we can spot unfairness in the present and work to fix it. There is another lesson too. Ancient women were not just victims. They were smart. They ran homes. Some ran shops. Some were priestesses and handled land and goods. Some wrote letters to the king asking for justice. Some saved their dowries. Some taught their daughters how to stay safe and strong. In a hard world, they found light. Knowing this helps us honor them, not just for their suffering, but also for their courage. So when we hear the brutal laws of Hammurabi against women, we should remember both sides, the harsh rules and the strong women who lived under them. The rules tried to control. The women tried to live. Many of them did more than just survive. They kept family lines going. They kept stories alive. They kept skills and songs and love alive. That matters. As we leave ancient Babylon, remember this. Stone laws can be broken by human voices. People can challenge what is written. People can ask for better rules. Learning about the Code of Hammurabi is not just a history lesson. It's a mirror. It asks us, what kind of world do we want? Do we want a world where fear decides, or a world where fairness leads? If you want a world where fairness leads, here's what you can do right now. If this video opened your eyes, please tap like. Share it with a friend who loves history. Drop a comment. What part shocked you most, and what part gave you hope? And if you want more powerful stories about women in history, stories of courage, struggle, and change, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Your support helps us tell more stories that matter. Together, we can learn from the past and build a kinder, stronger future.